Neck, the chest backbone where there are ribs connecting the backbones to protect the heart and lungs, okay? And then the lower back where there are no backbones connecting with the ribs. So there's backbone with no ribs, backbone with ribs, backbone no ribs, okay? And these three primary parts, we have different names for them. The neck part, we call neck backbone, is called cervical spine. Neck backbone, cervical spine. So in essence, neck is cervical, backbone is spine. Cervical spine, neck backbone, okay? So the neck backbone has 7 of these bones, so we connecting on them. So on the cervical spine, so does letter C, so we also call this part of the spine C-spine, okay? C-spine has 7 of these bones, so just number them, C1 through C7. This is the part of the backbone that has problems, so we're gonna focus on this part, okay? So cervical neck, cervical spine, C-spine, C1 through C7. Pretty good? Okay. So if we count them down, we're gonna count down the area that has the problem. C1, C2, C3, C4, C5, C6, C7. Most of the problem happen about in the middle over here. C4 and C5. But if someone just bring the Cal in for me while she's fixing this, huh?
Yes, sir.
All right. All right. While they bring this in, the backbone is here not only to allow us to sit straight and walk tall, because without the backbone, we'll just be falling over like a pile of jello. Okay? So the backbone is here to give us some rigidity, so we can sit up straight and walk tall. But it's also got this very important job of protecting this thing called the spinal cord. That's represented by the yellow over here. So the backbone is stacked up on top of each other, but it's got some flexibility because of these discs in between. This discus allows us to be flexible, to allow us to move around. Okay, otherwise you'd be solid, one single solid piece of bone. Okay, all right. She's bringing the computer over so I can show you the picture here. Yeah, switch and swap with you here.
We're just doing a little dancing, that's all.
Yeah, well, I'll take it while she's trying to get that in there. I'll log into this so we can do this simultaneously. Okay. We're going to work on all fronts so we can get this going for you, okay? Have you seen any of the x-rays?
Right when my accident happened, I saw some.
Oh, so somebody did try to explain to you,
Yeah.
But you just don't remember everything, is what you're saying?
Yeah.
Mrs., you remember seeing the x-rays though?
Oh, yes, and he was awake. He did know he was going to surgery. He actually had a
You just don't
conversation.
remember it.
He's just forgotten.
Yeah.
He talked to your sister. Anyway.
All right, I'm gonna pull up on here while we're waiting for that thing to go. Oh, sounds like we're getting something done.
Yeah, Miss T, do you need some help? It's working. I think I just saw the mouse moved. Gotcha.
Woo, hallelujah. All right, we'll get this out of the way.
All right, we can put that in that box and get the cat out of here.
Thank you.
You will. All right, slide.
So there's a reason this TV is this big, so we don't have to stay into that little small screen there. All right, here we go. So this is the MRI of the accident. So let me there's hundreds and hundreds of these pictures, and I went through most of them. So I'm going to show you the ones that's most impressive to show you. Okay. So you can see on this backbone here, this is in essence like that. Okay. On this left side, you guys see the bones stack up on top of each other. These are the bones stacked up on top of each other, separated by the discs. These are the discs. Okay? And on the back side, you can see the bones, and that's where you see the spicules here. Okay? So that's the back side over here. So in essence, each one of these bones form an arch. And together, these arches form a tunnel for this thing called the spinal cord to go through. So if you actually look at it like this, the spinal cord sits inside the tunnel like this. And usually there's quite a bit of space to wiggle around and all that. So
Right.
that the soft spinal cord is just bumping up against the very hard bones, okay? So you can look at this bone and it doesn't take a rocket scientist to know to say, hey, this one seems to be a little bit off, okay? So if you go one side to the other, you can see that this one just slipped off, okay?
Yeah.
And if you come over here, this here is supposed to be right here. So this down here is supposed to be right. So not only did it jump forward, but it also got locked up here by the bones.
Yeah.
Okay. So in essence, this piece of bone, this top part, went forward and then got locked down. Okay. So jumped and got locked down. Okay. So you can see that this part of the tunnel is much more narrow than this other part.
Right.
Okay. All right. So they have to do something. What did they have to do? What they did was this. They took the backbone, yanked it up a little bit, readjusted it, reset it back. Now, to make sure it doesn't shift again, they had to make it stable. And that's what happens here with the rods in the backside, okay? So, in essence, if y'all can mute down for me on the other side there, there's a lot of noise intrusion coming in.
Oh, cut that out.
All right, here we go. So on the back side here, you got the rods on each side, okay? And that's what it looks like from the side. And if you look at the front,
Wow.
or if you really look at the back, you got rods on each side. And then we got a whole bunch of screws screwing the rods in to keep it stable. And the whole reason is this. The rods is there to keep the thing from shifting again, but also give some stability and rigidity. Because what happened is that I think you got a lot of noise coming in from that side. Can y'all just mute down for me, please? All right, let's go back down to here. I'm going to show you the MRI now. So the bones are shown by the X-rays and CAT scans. The MRI shows us the spinal cord. So let's take a look at the spinal cord here.
Wow.
There's a better picture. I'm going to show you. So here we go. All right, so this is the brain, and the spinal cord comes down from the brain stem, goes into the spinal cord here, sits inside this tunnel. This is the pretty normal part of spinal cord, and this is the pretty normal part of spinal cord. So obviously that leaves this to be not so normal part of spinal cord. You can barely see the bones here, but you can see this bone is moved forward from this other bone here. And you can see this disc that's supposed to be sitting inside the bones like this disc, like that disc, like that disc, is affected, okay? So it slipped and the disc remains here, but it's broken and this piece of bone slipped forward. Not only that, now it started to affect the back part of the tunnel over here, and it puts the spinal cord into a very difficult bind here. It not only pinches it, but it causes some swelling above the middle. It causes some paleness over here because of the bruising of the spinal cord, okay? So because of this swelling and bruising over here, not only they had to put the bones back, but they had to give this backbone a little bit of breathing space. So you can see these spicules that we saw before, then you don't see the spicules here. Because what they did was this. They had to decompress the spinal cord, meaning the spinal cord is swollen. They had to make sure the spinal cord is not choking inside the tunnel. So they had to create more space. To do that, if you imagine this sort of to be the roof of the house, they actually cut across this side, they cut across that side, and lift up the roof of the house. So that way they can create a little space inside, okay? But once they've done that, they decrease the amount of bones in there to keep it rigid.
Right.
That's why the rods are there to keep it rigid, to keep it solid, to give it some more stability there, okay? So let's count the number here. This is the first neck bone, second neck bone. So we're going to count back to the CAT scan over here. Still loading, still loading. Oh, yeah. Let's see this one. All right, gotcha. All right, let's count back here. First neck bone, tiny little one here. Second neck bone, C3, C4, C5, and C6. Okay? So the problem starts between C5 and C6. So that's one level. There's many levels we'll talk about. The surgery level is different. The surgery level goes from C1, C2, C3, C4, C5, C6, C7 to the very next one actually belongs to the chest part of the backbone, which got a different name. So the neck part of the backbone is called cervical spine. The chest part of the backbone is called thoracic spine or T-spine. So this is the very next T-bone, so we call it T1, okay? So it gets confusing, so you can just ignore that part. But in essence, you got the rods that goes above and below the injury area. So the injury area, again, is just count them again. First, second, third, fourth, fifth, and sixth, that's where the injury level happened, okay? So it's right down smack in the middle where the surgery was done, okay? All right, so again, the front looks like that, the side looks like that, okay? And again, when we looked at this, we can see the spinal cord being pinched, being bruised, and the paleness that starts from here went up all the way to about right here, and there's still some pinching over here, okay? Which is why they release the backbone from here all the way down there, okay? All right, now that we've seen most of everything here, let's talk a little bit about why is it this